Not so long ago, I too was seated like all of you all in my school auditorium, waiting for the next speaker to come on, and I wonder whether it was 10 years or 20 years or 30 or maybe even before that. But it just seems like yesterday. I mean, I remember myself in plaits folded with yellow ribbons, a cream and green uniform with brown shoes, my tiffin, my school bag, and sitting amongst you all, I went back to the laughter, the teachers, the friends. And it then took me back to what was it that mattered to me in those years? What was it that made me angry? What was it I was afraid of? What made me speak up? And then I remembered the bullying in my class. I remember the making fun of in the school corridors, the rejection of all those who were different. It could have been a limp, a hump, a lisp, a physical defect, speech defect, or maybe even a different sexual orientation. How much we would laugh and mock and condemn. And that's when I began my journey truly of understanding what it means to be human. What makes me human? Does it also make the other equally human? My physics teacher taught me that beyond our physical structure, we are atoms and molecules, and what are those? The units of energy. And that essentially, we are beings of energy. Beings of what I call the energy of creation, which is pure, unconditional love. It introduced me to the concept of love, and not what we transact with today as humans, what we trade with. We barter with this concept of love. I love you, you love me, you don't love me, okay, I take it back. No. I was introduced to the concept of pure, unconditional love that a mother has for its child, that I have for my pets back home. And that's when I started experiencing that when I'm happy, my heart is open, I'm expansive. The energy flows freely through me. And when I'm anxious and scared, I contract, I'm in the dark, I shut out everything. And that darkness actually comes from within me. It's from within me that it spreads all around. So that was just the beginnings of my journey of understanding this world of energy. This was in Chennai, college continued in Chennai, and that was my advent into the world of theater. And wow, what a joy, what a joyful space that just opened up for me, because I was diving deep into playing different characters, understanding their backstory, understanding why they did what they did. And that gave me a sense of context. Why are people the way they are? What are the circumstances that have brought them to where they are today? You know, when we judge, we tend to forget the challenges, the trials, the sacrifices a person has made. Even a child, the child who's sitting next to you, what is their backstory? And you know, that actually, while working in theater, I've been talking to your director also about, you know, using theater for change. I'm aware that you're all aware of how transforming theater can be. But that actually brought me to the concept of empathy. Because when you are actually playing a character, you're stepping into someone else's shoes. And that's what empathy is, because you're changing your perspective. You are no longer the other. I mean, you're no longer judging the other, you become the other. And you realize how interconnected all of you all are. I then moved on to Bombay. I did my diploma in mass communication. It was my first time away from home, independence, freedom, and a lot of responsibility. I was looking at the world through the lens of a 20-year-old, and oh my God, I disliked so much that I saw in the world. I saw a lot of social injustice, social inequity, gender discrimination, human rights violations, climate, environmental degradation. And I was impatient, restless. I wanted to change the world. And I think in all of this, I mean, I just overlooked maturity and wisdom that comes with life experiences and not necessarily just bookish knowledge. I finished my post-graduation diploma and became the youngest audiovisual manager of a very prestigious company in Mumbai, working on audiovisuals. That got me to actually work with prestigious private and government companies. I was working on promotional films, showing them in their best possible light. It was very interesting because that really actually brought me to my next lesson, that don't judge a book by its cover, because the more glitzy and glamorous something seems from the outside, the less the actual content is within it. So for about 10 years, I honed my skills in understanding all the different elements of audiovisual production, from scripting to photography, to editing, to post-production. I excelled at it. But you know, those thoughts that had started working in my mind about bringing about change, I asked myself, is this what I really want to do? I mean, am I being true to myself? Are my films being true to actually what they're presenting? And there were so many of these questions where it came back to, where am I headed? What is my purpose? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And this is when my next chapter was in television. It was 1993. ZTV was the first independent private television channel that was opening up, and they were looking for young producers. So I started a program called Shakti. It was on women's empowerment. It was a platform for women to come, share their trauma, and build a network of sisterhood and solidarity. And that introduced me to the world of NGOs and counselors. And actually, I think, in a way, brought me back to my original alignment. I was happy because I felt I was being able to reach out and contribute to other people's lives, bring some meaning back, right? And it also brought me to the idea of intent. How important intentions are before you start anything. How important intentions are to remain focused on, because I feel your intent actually governs the consequences of your actions. So my time with Shakti, it was an amazing time of growth, of understanding. But television is a very dynamic space. And after 3.5 odd years, I'd had enough of the TRPs, and it had become very competitive and a rat race. And I then decided to actually move into something that has been my passion, my lifelong passion, which is actually about connecting and working with young people like you. And I started with, like all mothers do, volunteering in my children's school, in Vasant Valley School. It was the year 2000, and life skills was being introduced in the CCE curriculum. I volunteered to teach the children life skills through theater. And my God, that just opened up another world for me. It was a fascinating space where I worked with teenagers, basically, where I challenged them, they challenged me, and oh my God, there was so much that I learned from them. I traveled with youth empowerment workshops across Delhi, Jaipur, Kolkata, went to Egypt, South Africa, Scotland. What did I learn? So what I learned, which I would say it was like a process of mutual learning, redefining parameters of success. I was actually questioning the conditioning that has been imposed on us by the adults in our lives. Does success mean a great bank balance? Does it mean that big house, the big cars? If you actually look at the health graph of a very successful CEO or an MD, please check. Has he had his first stroke, his first heart attack? Does he have diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension? And it brought me to the whole space once again of well-being. Today, my parameter of success is really an enriched life where I am emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and yes, physically healthy. This next lesson I learned was every person needs dignity and respect, and young people need it equally. So when you're addressing young people, talk to them as equals. Don't ever try and patronize and talk down, because there's a lot that they can also teach you, right? And it was also the fact that in this energetic universe, all of us are connected. There is a grid of energy, a universal grid that I call a grid of love and light that connects every soul, every energy, every creature on this planet, however big or small. So the workshops carried on, and one day I was in a police academy, and there was this Supreme Court judge sitting next to me who asked me, would I be interested in working with children who are invisible? And I was surprised. I said, invisible? Because I was at that point also working with street children, and that's a foundation that my husband is a trustee of. And he said, no, these are children in conflict with law. I don't know whether any of you all have ever met them. They're called juvenile offenders. And the children I work with, they're young boys between the age of 16 to 22 who are in for serious crime. It's not petty crime. It's murder, it's rape, it's sodomy, it's kidnapping, burglary, it's the works, right? And I remember telling Justice Lokur, well, I don't have any special skill set for this, but I'm happy to go and see what I can do. And believe you me, that when I walked into, so they live in observation homes, these boys. They're called observation homes, but they're jails. Jails with these high walls, barbed wire, guards, cells, all of that. And I walked in and I saw this group of about 60 boys looking at me. Some were curious, some were afraid, some were angry, some were saying, what is she doing here? And I could not actually walk away from them because I didn't see them any different from all of you all. They were young people with as much potential as you have, but you have the opportunity to fulfill that potential, which has been not offered to them because a lot of them come from impoverished backgrounds, right? So it's been now 15 years. I work in these observation homes in Delhi. What do? I have a wonderful team of young people who work with me. We run expressive art programs. We're doing a digital learning project there, sports, English teaching. We've started an internal podcast channel called Radio Bhaichara. And I'm always looking for more and more volunteers and people to come and join us, because what we're trying to do actually is also introduce these boys to the world of energy, to the world of the fact that there is unconditional love in the universe, and they have as much a right to receive that dignity and respect as you and me have, right? So it's been a pretty, Samriddhi mentioned Reiki, all of that. Yes, for me, Reiki is one of the languages I've learned in energy healing. There are so many languages. And I will not judge that one is better than the other, because for me, it's like learning Italian, Spanish, German, French. And honestly, what is language about? Language is about communicating. And once you master any language and you understand what this flow of energy is, to me today the most powerful language is non-verbal. You drop the words, and it's the energy the person sends. It's the body language. I can be saying something to you, oh, I think you're a wonderful person, but my eyes can be blazing and I want to just get you. You're not going to believe me because you're picking up my energy. That's the power of nonverbal communication, right? So, yes, I was a Reiki practitioner, but today for me it's just about energy. It's about opening out your heart. It's about, allowing, being expansive, allowing the energy to flow wherever you are, and taking complete responsibility for my emotions. So, talking about energy, I just want to say that I believe that there's something called your operating energy, and I think that's important for you as children. Your operating energy can either be love or lack of love, which is fear. And when you operate out of fear, your lens is a jaundiced, colored lens. Everything seems wrong. And the problem is not what you see, the problem is coming from within you. When you flip that to love, and what do I have to be happy about? Well, I would just say gratitude. Gratitude for everything you've received from the universe, for that hot meal waiting for you, for the love, for your loving family. I mean, there's even starting with my two eyes, my senses, all of that. There's a lot, my friends, that each one of us has to be grateful for, if only we stop comparing ourselves to the other, right? Whatever you want to do, dream big, but don't just dream for yourself, please. Dream for your community. Because in that, when you turn the me into the we, that's where you're going to get an enriched journey, which is just full of, literally, what you're looking for, that self-respect, that love, that compassion, give it out first. There's just a lot more I can say. I'm sorry, I was not allowed to see my phone. I'm carrying it with me. But thank you, and I would actually love to meet all of you all later, some other time, talk to you, share some of my thing, and understand your dreams and aspirations. But please, it's an amazing journey, the journey of being human. So I wish you all the luck and all the wonderful positive change that you can bring as human beings. Thank you.